So today we're going to be taking Brix samples. Brix samples are important in our grazing operation because it tells us how much sugar content is in the forages themselves. It also helps when we talk about dry matter, knowing the nutrition density that are in the leaves at hand. So one reason this is important is it keeps the plants that are high in Brix, their resistance to drought, cool temperatures, and even pest and disease resistant. The second thing is the higher the Brix, the more quality of forage that you're putting into your livestock. So when you test your Brix, you want to do it anytime afternoon where the sun is at the highest. That way the more photosynthesis activity is going on. So this tool here is a refractometer, and what it's going to do is take the sugars that we put on the glass and take the sunlight in and tell us what percent of Brix that we have. And that tells you where our sugars level are in our pastures. And this is a press that we'll use to press the forages to get those syrups out of the leaves. And I've just made this as a homemade vice grips with some flat stock on it. You can use heavy duty garlic presses. There are several variants of this tool, so don't have to get too fancy on getting your press together. So what we'll do when we take our samples, you want to get an average over the whole paddock area that you plan to set up. This reason, you know, there's different species within that. Also, it's important to pay attention to what species of forages your cattle are actually grazing versus taking samples versus of stuff that they are not grazing. So it's just a good observation tool to pay attention to what they're eating, and then you can test the Brix of those particular plants. So just for the test here, we're going to pull some fescue here and a little bit of clover. And you just kind of want the tips of the plants of what the animals are actually going to eat. So the stems or overmature fescue like you see here, that's going to be pretty irrelevant because the cattle are not going to eat that. So we'll just take the most vegetative type of plants here and just kind of the top halves of them as they're going to eat. And we can even pull up some forbs here and see they're usually pretty high in Brix actually. And just get a good diversity of what's going to be in this paddock. So now that we've got kind of a handful of grasses and leaves here, what we're going to do is we're going to put it in a ball. And when we get this wadded up in a ball, we're just going to work it over in our hands. And what that is doing, it's breaking down the leaves and starting to get those sugars and syrups out. So it's going to make it a ton easier to squeeze it out with our vice grips when we get to that point. So we're just working it, and you want to work it until your hands start to get wet. You really can't hardly work it enough. So you see that big ball has turned into just a wet, smaller thing of grass. Now we'll take our vice grips, we'll open the jaws, we'll get this worked back down here a little bit smaller, and we're going to put it in the jaws there, and we'll just go ahead and tighten them. If it's a garlic press, you'll probably need a little less leaf matter than this, but since we have these big heavy-duty vice grips, we'll do that. Then I'll grab my refractometer. I will open the window and I'll squeeze. And with any luck, we'll get some syrups and juices to come out here. A little goes a long way on this, but I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more out of it if I don't lose it. So now that we got that on there, we're just going to put this window down like this. And it's important to do this only when the sun is out, because we'll have to look this directly up at the sun. So we'll want sunlight going directly into this window so it gets all the sun it can for the best reading. And we'll actually tilt our head up, look through the little eye, and point it at the sun. And what I'm seeing is this scale from 0 to 25, and then the blue line stopping. Our Brix reading at this particular sample in sight was an 11. So what that tells us, we're going to have a very close to slightly above a 2-pound average daily gain. And this is important, especially on growing type stock such as replacement heifers or stocker type cattle we're having as a grazing system. Each percent increased in your Brix gives you an additional 0.1 pounds of average daily gain on your livestock. So that's why increasing our Brix through soil health and improving that soil biology is important on the back end to keep our cattle gaining at a productive level. So let's give an example, saying your Brix score was at a 5 or lower, where you're getting close to a 1, 1.25 average daily gain, which is not ideal. Some ways that you can increase that those Brix levels are retesting at a particular different time of day, or maybe even changing the variety of what you're testing. For example, a lot of annuals will test very high at the particular time when your perennials that are dormant. Also keep in mind you want to try to do this at plants that are mid-stage, not overmature, and at a vegetative state. Another way that you can increase those Brix levels are really focusing on your soil health and allowing your biology to work in proper rest periods.